The past 8 months of my life have been the most difficult of my life. I recently moved from Las Vegas to Houston, Texas. A lot of people, especially in my personal life, relatively close friends and family members, have questioned or wondered, why did I decide to move to Houston, Texas, out of all the places that I could have moved to in the United States? And it comes down to a couple of different reasons. The first reason is I didn't want to live in Las Vegas anymore. There was a million other places that I'd rather live than Las Vegas. I had my reasons for this. I mean, I couldn't quite quantify why I wanted to leave Vegas until I left and I got the feeling, it was almost like a sigh of relief. It seemed like every single year I remained in Vegas, the walls of the city almost closed in on me and the air felt so thick that I could almost like choke on it. I felt uneasy almost every single day. And what's funny is I had no reason, no logical reason at least, to feel that way. I was Before I started selling timeshare, because I was selling timeshare before I moved out to Houston. But before I started selling timeshare, I had started my first successful business right in the same room that I grew up in, right at my mom's house. I scaled my business to multiple six figures at the age of 20, 21, 22, and 23. By the time I was 23, the mismanagement of money and not really knowing a whole lot about business, by that time came around, I was up I was up to my neck when it came to debt and so on and so forth. But I started a successful business in Las Vegas. Then I transitioned from being a business owner to selling timeshare. And I sold millions and millions of dollars in timeshare in my short stint in the industry. I was getting checks of two, three, four, even six to $7,000 per week. So I really had nothing to complain about. But for some reason, I just couldn't stand living there. It's so hard to quantify even nowadays. But as I mentioned, it felt like the walls of the city were closing in on me, and the longer that I stayed, the harder it would have been to get out of Vegas. So I felt if I wasn't going to do it now, I was probably never going to leave. At least no time soon. That's what at least that's what it's felt like to me. Is that if I didn't do it now, I probably would never do it, because I had spoke about moving, especially in particularly Texas, Houston to be specific, since 2021. I did a event out at the Memorial City Center. I didn't host the event, but I was a guest speaker at one of my friends' events during the pandemic, and that was my first interaction with Houston. And I absolutely loved the city. There was something about the energy in the city, and each city kind of gives me a different energy, because I considered multiple cities when it was when I was deciding on where I wanted to move. But each city gives me a certain energy, and I just love the energy here in Houston. It kind of reminds the energy is kind of similar to LA, where there's a lot of people, a lot of hustle and bustle. However, it's still a little bit slow. There's enough community, there's enough local businesses, and I can really go on and on as to why I wanted to live in Houston, Texas rather than Las Vegas. So I moved. It's been, as I mentioned, it's been incredibly difficult. When I got here, I did not have a job lined up or any idea of what I was going to do for work, immediate work. I knew what I wanted to do long term. I knew I wanted to get into real estate, get back into finance. As some of you may or may not know, I used to run a financial consulting business, helping people with their credit, set up budgets, and buy houses. But I had no idea what I really wanted to do. I stumbled across this company where I was selling teeth whitening services. It was interesting because I had never done anything like that before. I worked quite a bit with this company. I mean, I worked 6 days a week, sometimes 8, sometimes 12 hours a day. So they were really long days, and I did that for 6 to 8 months, just under 8 months. I worked there. I decided to leave that company. I ended up getting my real estate license. I actually got my real estate license 1 week ago. So after I was able to leave the company, I had so much more time. I was able to study, get my real estate license relatively quickly. So things are starting to line up in the manner which I saw it before I got here, because the past 8 months have been nothing like I imagined living out here was. Like nothing. I believe that I was going to spend most of my time in the Galleria and Post Oak, doing business, so on and so forth. That that couldn't have been further from reality when I first got here. But I was willing to go through it. I knew that even though I was taking a massive step back financially, going from making two, three, up to $6,000 a week selling timeshare to making 1,500, $1,000 every week selling teeth whitening services, I knew that I was taking a massive step back. I knew I was taking a massive step back, and I felt it almost every single day. It was almost like a voice in my head telling me, like, hey, you used to make so much more money than this. Like, hey, this is beneath you. You used to make so much more money than this. And I had to deal with that. I dealt with that almost every single day for 6 months. Just feeling like this, I should not be doing this. I'd worked so hard to become elite at selling timeshare, elite at sales in general. I've done content. I ran my own company. Now I'm begging people to purchase $1,000 program to get a $30 commission. Like, it was a massive step back, but I had to silence my ego. I had to silence my ego, because if I didn't, I knew I never would have. If I listened to my ego, I would have gone back to Vegas. I had everything waiting for me. I could have gotten my job back, or my mom could have got me a job at another timeshare company. She works in timeshare as well. My room back home was waiting for me. I could have went back home. I had a million different options to not experience all the, I don't want to say hardship, but I guess for lack of a better term, the hardship that I experienced over the past 8 months. As I mentioned, it's been incredibly rough, but things are finally starting to pan out for me. I got my real estate license. I'm working on my mortgage license, and the plan that I saw in my head when I got here is I'm starting to put the pieces together, because the past 8 months had nothing to do with what my plan was. I just had to survive. I had to pay my bills. I had to pay my car note. I had to put food in my mouth. There were so many things. I was in survival mode for like 8 months. As I mentioned, I didn't really have a lot of money. I only had a few $1,000s when I moved out here. So that goes quick, especially nowadays. When I first got here, the gas by my house was $1.99. It's almost $4 now. So everything was going quick. Things are going up. Like, my cortisol levels for that first 6 months were just absolutely through the roof. I spent all my time working. Any extra shifts that I can pick up at the teeth whitening company, I did, because I was so scared that something was going to go wrong. My tire blew out on the road twice. That had never even happened to me before. In Houston, the freeways are massive. In Las Vegas, the freeways are tiny. I mean, you're on the freeway maybe 20 minutes a day, and that's back and forth to home, depending on where you live. And that's how much time I spent on the freeway. Now I'm on these massive freeways. I don't know anyone out here. Like, my mind was just racing all the time. And all I could think was, did I make the wrong decision? But I knew there was a reason that I left Las Vegas. There was a reason I didn't want to live out here. There was a reason something drew me to the city every time that I thought about it. I had dreams about this place. Every time that I came out here, I loved it. The energy of the city. There was something that drew me here, and I knew that I had to see this through, or I would spend the rest of my life resenting myself for not taking that leap. So though the past 8 months have been incredibly difficult for me, things are starting to pan out, and I'm going to keep you guys updated on me starting my career in real estate and getting back into finance. I'm going to be documenting me growing my new real estate practice, and soon investment advisory practice. I'm going to be documenting all of this on the YouTube, the day-to-day, from cold calling, door knocking, networking, and keeping you guys up to date how it's going out here in Houston. I just want to, I haven't made a video in almost a year. So I wanted to give you guys an update and let you know where I'm at right now. What are the plans for the channel for right now? All I'm focusing on is just documenting my journey in this new city, in this new business, and everything that I'm learning throughout the way. So I hope you guys enjoy. Peace.